I didn't know what I had captured, only that when I zoomed in, the figure in the lighthouse window had no face. It was looking straight at me. There's a lighthouse about 30 minutes from where I live, Faceless Point. It hasn't been in use for decades. The whole area is fenced off with rusted chain link and sunfade warning signs that say things like "unstable structure, do not enter." It was a grey Saturday in October, cold enough to see my breath, and windy in that coastal, bone-deep kind of way. But as the drone circled, I noticed something strange in the upper window, a shape, as if it had been standing still and shifted its weight. I tapped the zoom. Perfect lighting for moody footage. I parked just outside the fence, launched the drone from a small clearing. There was nothing there. No eyes, no mouth, no features. Just smooth, pale skin like a mannequin's head, and sent it up to hover near the lantern room at the top. But that hasn't stopped people from hopping the fence or flying drones around it for years. I'd been into drone photography for about 6 months when I finally drove out there. The structure itself looked exactly how you'd imagine an abandoned lighthouse. Weathered white paint peeling in wide sheets, glass panes missing from the top, and the rusted catwalk surrounding the beacon barely hanging on. The whole time I felt like I was being watched. Most of it looked normal: coastal cliffs, the churning sea, the cracked paint of the tower. Then came the window, and there it was, again, a human-like figure. Still wrong. At first, I assumed it was a curtain or a trick of the glass, maybe a shadow or reflection, but then it moved. Not fast, just slightly. Yet the faceless figure was staring dead-on into the drone's lens. The face area was impossibly smooth. No sign of seams or shadows where eyes or a nose should be. Just skin. I leaned closer to the controller screen, squinting, and that's when I stopped breathing. I told myself it was just some internet weirdo trying to mess with me. But that night, something woke me around. 2:40 a.m. That's when I got a message from someone with an account named Lam. There was someone or something standing behind the broken glass, staring out. It looked like a man. Maybe tall, maybe wearing dark clothes. But that wasn't the worst part. The drone wasn't hovering directly in front of the window, was off to the left, circling. Just the faint, high-pitched whine of the drone's rotors and my own ragged breathing. It knew I was watching. I pulled the drone back, heart pounding, suddenly aware of how silent the forest around me had become. No birds, no wind in the trees. But I stopped sleeping. I stopped flying the drone. Something about that moment had followed me, but the angle it was shot from the lantern room window. I brought the drone back fast and packed it up without reviewing any more footage. Back home, I dumped the footage onto my laptop, told them someone was stalking me, filming me at but when they searched the lighthouse, they found nothing. No footprints, no signs of forced entry. The stairs had long collapsed no way up. Frame by frame, I advanced through the moment I first saw the shape. When I zoomed further, it became clear this wasn't a mask, and it wasn't some prankster. I found old newspaper clippings at the local library. A story from 1961 caught my eye, and the way it stood it was as if it had been waiting, like it wanted to be seen. I shut everything off. I threw the whole drone kit into the dumpster behind my building. But that night, my phone buzzed. Last seen during routine supply drop. One witness, a supply boat operator, claimed they saw Tate standing in the window all day, unmoving, like he was watching something far off. Days later, he vanished. Only his boots were found neatly placed at the top of the spiral stairs. Same angle, the window. I uploaded a still frame to Reddit, asking if anyone knew the history of Faceless Point. The faceless figure wasn't inside. "Don't go back there," it read. "He watches anything that watches him." I didn't respond. I woke up to the drone's controller on my desk blinking. I hadn't touched it in days. A low hum like the droning of my except it wasn't coming from my laptop or gear. It was coming from outside. I peeked through the blinds and froze. Video message. Across the street, under the sodium orange glow of the street lamp, stood a tall, pale figure, motionless, no face. I blinked, and it was gone. 4 days, I tried to tell myself I imagined it. Then, 5 nights later, I found a USB flash drive in my mailbox. No note, just the drive. Inside was a single video file. It was grainy, but recognizable. Footage of me, standing in the clearing, flying my drone. I don't fly drones. Change numbers. wiped my online presence. But even now, months later, sometimes I'll catch a glint on a distant hill or rooftop, a lens, a reflection. The camera shakes slightly, as if handheld, then zooms slowly toward me, toward my face. And then I heard something faint in the background, a whisper, barely audible. I looped it again and again until I made it out. He looked first. I called the cops, and yet the footage existed. I started digging deeper. Baycliffe Keeper reported missing. The article mentioned a man named Ellis Tate, the last recorded lighthouse keeper before Baycliffe was decommissioned. The last line chilled me. Search efforts ceased after 3 days. Locals insist his ghost still tends the light, waiting for someone to look back. A week later, the battery was full. The screen displayed a live feed from the lantern room. I unplugged it. I shut everything off. I threw the whole drone kit into the dumpster behind my building. But that night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Video message. It was the same feed, same angle. The window. Only this time, the faceless figure wasn't inside. But even now, months later, sometimes I'll catch a glint on a distant hill or rooftop, a lens, a reflection. It was standing outside my window. I moved, changed numbers, wiped my online presence. Sometimes my phone vibrates with a notification. Live feed. Ready? I don't open them anymore. I don't fly drones. And if you ever visit an abandoned lighthouse, don't look into the windows. Because if he sees you first, you're still safe. But if you see him, it's already too late.